As we begin the practice, let yourself get settled and comfortable. It's such a good reminder that when we're starting a practice of relaxation or a meditation, that we get ourselves comfortable and warm so that we could really enjoy the practice. We start by bringing our attention into this present moment, whatever it is that might hold for us. The nature of the present moment is that it changes all the time. Sometimes our moments are very pleasant, sometimes they're not so pleasant. There could be happiness, fear, anxiety, uncomfortable, joy. There's all kinds of things that flow through our experience. And the practice of meditation is tuning into what's happening in our experience in this moment, part of which could be the thoughts in our mind about other places, that's for sure, about other times, other events. And we're asking our mind to focus on this moment and what's happening in our experience right now, in our body, our breath, our energy, and in the silent depths of the mind. There's so much more than what's happening in our thought stream. So we bring our attention in, we notice what's happening in our body. We also notice what's happening in the environment around us. There's sounds coming in through the ears, the sensation on the skin. Notice if you feel safe in the environment that you're in. When we feel safe, we can relax more deeply. Notice the space that your body is occupying and what's happening in that space. We have a sense of what's going on in our body, of where our body parts are located, how they're moving, how they're still. If we're sitting in a chair, we'd have the sense of our feet on the ground. We might have a sense of connection with the floor. And we know how we're seated or how we're lying down. We know the position of our body. That's one of our built-in, the proprioceptor system lets us know all of that. And when we tune into our body and the space that our body is in, we'll often have an image. It might be like a picture image, or it could be a more of a shadow, light and shadow image, a light shape in a dark space or a dark shape in a light space. And in addition to images, of course, we have felt sensations. It's helpful often to tune into the felt sensations in our body, partly because it's good practice and it's good mindfulness practice for us to know what's going on in our body. We often don't really tune into what's going on in our body because of habit, because it might feel uncomfortable. So tune into the space that your body is in right now. Notice what's happening in that space. When we bring our attention to the space of the head, Our perception of what's happening in that space would definitely include thought. It could include the sensation of the eyebrows or the forehead, the wetness in the mouth, the hinges of the jaw, the neck and shoulders. We have sensation that's happening in that space. Thoughts are appearing in the space. And notice if sensation and thought have a bit more room than our physical body. Often thoughts in particular seem like they take up a space in that area somewhere, but they're not really limited to the skull. Notice what your experience is of the sensations in your face and the whole of the head area into the neck and shoulders. If you were to put your hand on the back of your neck, you could feel those muscles. But we also have a sense of tightness or relaxation through the shoulders and neck. And we have an approximate location in our awareness of that. When we bring our attention to that space or that location, we can allow the muscles to relax. Notice your perception of the space that your body is in and what is arising in that space in relation to the space all around your body, all around your head in particular. If an image pops up, that's one way that we could experience that. If we let the image go, or if an image isn't there, notice what the boundaries of your body feel like. How do you know where your body starts and ends? Can you feel the back of your head? Your arm knows where it is if you were to put your hand up there. Just on a sensory basis, what's your experience right now? Noticing the location, the dimensions, and the boundary of the back of your head. And just as an experiment, move your attention down into your neck and throat and swallow. We have internal sensations as well that are still physical. When we bring our attention into that space, we might notice more the wetness in the mouth, the tongue, the movement of the tongue. The movement as the swallow happens going from your mouth down in through your throat and neck. Notice if there are any pain sensations in the head, in the neck or the shoulders. If there are, notice where they are, what exactly it feels like. Pain can be dull, throbbing, sharp, fiery. It might be very familiar. There might not be a sense of having felt this a lot or before at all, even maybe. Or maybe there is no pain in the head right now. Relax your eyebrows, all of those small muscles of the forehead. And then bring your attention down from the head and the neck into the torso. From your neck and shoulders down through to your hips and lower abdomen. The arms are alongside the torso. Notice those as well, down through your hands. The experience in the torso is a bit different because of the movement of the breath. If you bring your attention back up to the nose, the experience of movement in the head and the mouth and the throat can be a more passive experience of no movement except for air that flows in and air that flows out. We can feel that flow on the membranes of the nose and into the back of the throat. And it's possible that the whole of the head could be completely still at the same time. It's just a passageway for air, and the movement's actually being generated in the diaphragm at the lower ribs. Bring your attention to this location, to this space. Notice the boundaries of the space. If it feels like you can tell exactly where the front muscles of your chest finish and the open air begins. Is there any sensation in your lower back? Unless you're standing, there will be some feeling of connection with the environment, perhaps with the chair, the floor. And relax and breathe and notice how your body moves in this space. Notice any sensation through the back of your body. Let your shoulders relax away from your ears. Very common for us to have kind of a shield of energy in the back of our body, the muscles of the upper back. The muscles can be tight, and there could also be an energy, a protection that happens through the back of our body. Notice if that's in the space for you right now in this moment. And if you know that you're safe in your environment and you don't need to protect yourself right now, Notice that, allow that mechanism to have a rest. Allow the muscles to soften, shoulders to fall away from the ears. Let yourself relax. Bring your attention forward a bit into the space the lungs are occupying. We can't feel the lungs directly. The lung tissue doesn't really have nerve for pain receptors in it. We can notice what's happening in the lungs by the rib cage movement, the muscles of the chest, the diaphragm. Bring your attention into the lungs and notice how they expand as you're breathing in. What we notice is the area around the lungs expands, the rib cage opens, the diaphragm flattens, giving the lungs more room to fill with air. There's a change in that perception as we breathe out. The diaphragm muscle comes back up. The lower ribs come back towards each other. There's less space being taken up by the lungs. The air leaves the lungs. There's a wave-like quality to the breath. We breathe out and then we breathe in. We breathe out again, we breathe in again. Anchor your attention to that rhythm, to that movement. As soon as you come to the end of the exhalation, let yourself move smoothly into the inhalation. No breaks or pauses in the breath. At the end of the inhale, let yourself go into the out breath without any hesitation at all. Exhale and release, and then smoothly into the inhale. Nice, deep, full inhale, and then letting it go into the exhale. And notice that this is movement that's happening in a space. It's in a location. There are certain sensations that go with that. Keep your mind focused on what's happening in that area, in that space, right in this moment. And notice what else is here in the same space or the same location. If there's any energy or sensation in the heart center, perhaps, or maybe the navel center, the lower belly. And if there is, notice the qualities of that. Notice its size, its location. If there is an image of it or not. If it has a certain color, if it has a quality of hot or cold. We're looking at what's happening in this space, and in particular in the torso right now. If it feels okay to pay direct attention to sensation or energy in the body, let your attention rest directly in that space. Notice what's happening in that. Notice the details of the sensation. What exactly does it feel like? How would you describe it? It's natural for thoughts to come up. If that's happening, just to notice it. Our thought stream tends to absorb most of our attention. We're not making that bad or wrong. We're just noticing that that's how it happens with people. Often thoughts will come up that are associated with different energy. And that's fine. If they seem important, we could make a mental note and look at them later. Right now, we're simply observing what's happening in the space with more of a wordless focus, not so much emphasis on the words or thoughts. Pay attention again to the space of the head, the face, the neck and shoulders. Notice the sensations, what's happening in the arms and hands. And down through the torso, from the neck, through the chest, through the belly, down to the lower abdomen and into the hips. And notice what's happening in the legs. What are the sensations? What is your sense of how your legs are positioned? Notice that our sense of our legs depends partly on an image that we might have, partly on sense perceptions of where the back of our legs, for instance, is connecting with a seat. The soles of the feet might be on the floor. And without any images, just to notice the sense perception directly. What does it feel like in this space? And then bring your attention back to your whole entire body from head to toes. The head and neck, the torso, the arms, the legs, the feet, the hands. Focus your attention on this space that the body is occupying and on what it is that's happening in that location, in that space right now. In a few minutes, we're going to finish the practice. You'll probably move your body into a different space. The space that we're in right now won't be changed by the fact that we've been in the space. The space might be a little warmer momentarily. The sensations, the experience of ourselves moves through the space with us. It doesn't stay behind. And bring your attention to the space of noticing, of awareness. Our experience happens on many levels. We have sense perceptions, images, energy, awareness of muscles and bones and digestive processes and all of that physical. We have thoughts about it in response, and then we have other thoughts that come in at times too. All of this is content that's arising and being noticed. It's arising in a space that's not disturbed by the content. Let yourself rest there for a moment. Noticing all of these levels are all here at the same time. There's our physical body, thoughts, images, sensations, noticing or not noticing, and the space that it arises in, moves through. See if you can remain aware of all of that as you open your eyes. Noticing if you can keep in touch with that even with the eyes open. And then when you're ready, finishing the practice, getting ready to move out into the day.